What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. My name is D-Free, and in this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about Ultimate Gohan because I tried to quell this in my first video, and people and expectations, and it still kind of didn't get received the way I would have wanted it to, because I think there's a large faction of people that really wanted this Gohan to get like 100% and plus and stuff like that, when it really wasn't going to happen. It just was not going to happen. He was going to be equivalent to the other Extreme Z Awakens, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the other festival exclusive and non-festival exclusive Extreme Z Awakens that have come to the game first, and we're also going to look at some calculations courtesy of the Reddits. Of course, thank you guys over there. I can't do this stuff by myself. I'm not good at math like that. You guys said it several times. I'm bad at math. So anyways, I appreciate you guys and all the support you guys give to the community. So again, guys, do check out the DBZ Dokkan Battle Reddit. Link should be down below in the description. If I forgot, just let me know or tweet me or whatever. Anyways, so without kind of reading over, feel free to read it if you want to, pause it, but without kind of reading over it, so this character is judged by being under the Majin Buu Saga category, and he's going to have these links active because he does trigger these links alongside the Super Vegito unit. Basically, just being linked with him, he triggers all three of these links, and these are basically the only attack links that Gohan has anyway, I'm pretty sure, wherever he is. There he is. Saiyan Lineage, Saiyan Warrior Race, but whatever, 700. Power bestowed by God, fierce battle, infighter. Yeah, that's it. So Super Vegito, the physical one, does have infighter. The AGL did not, I believe. So those are the links that will be triggered on that category. And of course, he's trying to show him off on that team, basically, because I mean, he really can't be on Hybrid Saiyans. So anyways, so at the free dupe level, right, without using any sort of dupe investment, you do have orbs, but no dupe investment. This is how good the character is. He's ultimately going to be outputting at 1 million damage. Like I said, all the units at this day and age, it's natural. They start hitting for 1 million damage. It is what it is. So, as we all know, Gohan, when he launches supers, does greatly raise his attack upon supering, and that is a 50% increase. He's able to keep that stack and continue to build upon it, as opposed to a lot of other characters that may only get an attack gain of 50% or even a massive attack increase for one turn. So, he's able to keep that. So, by the first stack, he's at 1.1. The third stack, he's at 1.25. And then by the fifth stack, he's at 1.4. So, that is very, very good output. But if we come down here to look at him in the same exact scenario at rainbow level, you see the stack instantly, of course, as you would expect, goes up. And he's one of those units that's kind of weird, but I think that it kind of passes because he doesn't launch as many attacks. But he's a character that you would think could be like Vegito. And when it comes to Tech Vegito Blue, it's so funny because this is something that we found out really, really early on, is that if you were to put orb investment into him, and this is obvious, it's common sense, if you were to put orb investment into him and get him closer to rainbow level, he starts clearing stuff so fast that he can't really stack his attack stat. And of course, that would be something that applies to this Gohan too, basically having a premium attack increase in the game, one of the best attack increases in the game, period, because a lot of characters do have the Kaioken effect, quote unquote, but this Gohan has basically the best version of it. So anyways, not to say among every character, but just the best general version of that type of attack stack, but Tech Vegito does have a separate one via his passive as well, but I digress. Anyways, so ultimately he gets to about 2 million damage, give or take. So one thing I do want to point out as well is that this character is able to go under SA level 15, which does get accounted for down there. And he did kind of change the order on this, because the one knock on this character, if I go back over to him, the one knock on this character that I don't think a lot of people are aware of is, and I meant to mention this in my video yesterday, is that it says Ki +5 in attack and defense plus 80% and then 40% respectively when Ki is 7 or more. Understand that just hitting the key mark doesn't matter. So Gohan, this is effectively saying Gohan, when he launches a super, gets these boosts because he has to attack in order for this part of his passive to trigger. So yes, he's one of those characters that effectively cannot tank a hit prior to launching his own attack, like AGL Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. His passive states when the character launches in a super attack, he gets, I believe, 80% attack and defense. That basically is Gohan as well. He has to attack in order for this part of his passive to trigger all of this. And then, of course, it would change to being a super attack if he's at 7 Ki, and yet, etc., etc. But he has to attack. So basically, when launching a super. So he does also pick up immense damage, which is a really, really big indicator for how good this character is. Now, yesterday, we did not have his stats at rainbow level for the Extreme Z Awaken in here, but we do now. So when we come down here, his attack stat pre-Extreme Z Awaken changes to being 17,000. That is a monstrous attack stat. That is an insanely high attack stat. given the fact that he has immense damage, he stacks his attack, he has super attack level 15, that is wild. So again, we see where the characters that get that plus 7,000 premium Dokkan Festival unit, original Dokkan Festival type unit general boost in the potential system, that is impactful here. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. Key multipliers at 140, that's very solid. It's not great because it can go higher, but it's amazing for what the character is, given who the character is, and like the well, not who he is, not like it's Gohan, right? But I guess maybe, but given that he has this type of ability built in to his super attack, that's really good. Greatly raising attack is a 50% boost. He needs to attack to activate his passive skill. I just mentioned that. As his level goes up to 15 via Extreme Z Awakening, and he can be farmed basically. So that's how this character breaks down. Again, fully maxed out. And without getting maxed out, he has 13,000 attack if you don't have any dupes. There's no in-between. It's either you have him maxed out or you don't. So he's got a really respectable amount of defense. And somewhere in this post, he was asked about the defensive numbers. And Gohan's defense sits about 52,000 or so. So that's a really modest amount of defense without any sort of support. Because consider this too. These are numbers I'm pretty sure that do not have access to support. It's just literally these links being active. So that's another part of the equation that you'd have to consider. He could be better offensively and defensively. For example, on Super Intelligence, with access to the links that he would have access to, basically almost always just going to be Fierce Battle. I think that's about it anyway. If we were to actually kind of go over that really, really quickly, I'm pretty sure there's no like Power Bestowed by God on that setup for him. I mean, technically, he can get it if you were to really kind of stretch. And then, of course, Super Int, I don't want to forget about this guy, but realistically, you might not get the fusion to activate to trigger this too, so it's not going to be active most of the time. So there's not a whole lot of that. And then I don't know about Infighter too much in here. I'm not going to dig for Infighter. Does he have Brainiacs? I feel like there's a Gohan that has Brainiacs. No, I know that Vegito does. He's a smart guy, man. I swear there was a Gohan that had it. Oh, that's why. That's why. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, it's the Great Saiyamans. That makes sense. Long story short, though, he's not going to... well, he's going to be, excuse me, very, very good on this setup. And I'm not, obviously not looking at every Super Ant unit in the game, but just general idea. And, of course, if you were on that setup, he'd have access to that 40% support Gohan attack and defense-wise, and he would be really good. And the good news about Super Int is that it's actually just literally 10% worse of a leader skill, offensively anyway, versus the Majin Buu Saga category leader skill. Of course, this doesn't apply to Hybrid Saiyans because, again, he really can't be on that team. Because, unfortunately, unless you plan on using one of these other two, well, I guess this Gohan, because you can't even use the other one. Unless you plan to use this Gohan as your leader, he can't be on that team. Anyways, so judging him off of other units, his passive is honestly very, 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 very similar to this guy over here. It's literally the same passive, 90%, just 10% more, and then 40% when performing a super. Remember I said it's basically he needs to launch his super attack in order to get access. So it's literally the same passive. And then I found it funny too how this unit does supreme damage and he raises his attack. Of course, Gohan is a lot better. He has immense damage here. He also greatly raises attack for more than one turn indefinitely because yes, Gohan's ability, if you did not know, can go every single turn, which is why we were talking about stacks previously. Although this character does have access to a very, very good attack link in Super Saiyan. But that's how this gauges breaks off. And I'm not really going to compare him to these two characters because there really wasn't much of a comparison. Although I will say in my previous video when I did predictions of this, I talked about how units like this Goku had their passive upgraded from being a flat boost to being a percentage based one, 5,000 change to being 80%, so that worked out very well for him. And then Frieza, I mean Frieza really, again, Frieza was the most polarizing among all of these because he was the one that stood with the least to gain, in my opinion. Like, he was already too good, and he didn't have much to gain. He was already, I believe, the only one that had immense damage among these characters until we get to, like, Gogeta. But, you know, he was the only one. So he didn't really gain too much. He gains just defense, basically, and self-sufficiency via his passive. Anyway, Cell, I think Cell, if you were to talk about Cell in relation to Gohan, I think Gohan is probably going to be more consistent because Cell is reliant on the number of orbs that he gets and doesn't have very good key links as well. Although not to say Gohan does, because Majin Buu Saga's category is really kind of hit or miss given the characters that you would use. in relation to some of the other teams. When we look at shocking speed, I mean, it's just kind of like there's not a, I mean, if you have LR Goten and Trunks, for example, that's a really good shocking speed unit you'd have on that team, but not to say Gohan otherwise has any good links, really. I mean, it's just kind of there. You know, the Gotenks, some of them have it, I guess. Bleh, you know, bleh. It's not super great. But the good news is he supers early, and then SS3 Gotenks supers early, so it kind of masks that sort of issue, basically. So it's not that bad. Anyways, when we bounce over to Broly, another character that changes from flat boost to being a percentage-based one, and he also loses the deficiency of defense. In fact, he goes from reducing his own defense to 0 to literally gaining defense. Again, though, he has to attack first to be able to get this boost, so that's pretty weird. But nonetheless, he also raises attack for 3 turns while still hitting all enemies and getting an upgrade from Mass, which is equivalent to Extreme, to being Supreme damage based over there. So when we come back, I kind of looked at Cell already. I already talked about his deficiencies. Last couple, we have Goku only picks up defense, and defense is not turn restricted. He also changes to Immense. Otherwise, his attack boost jumps from 100 to 120, and it still is restricted for 7 turns. And that's kind of how it breaks down. I don't want to cover this Gohan too much because he's really kind of equivalent to Cell in a lot of ways because he's getting pretty much the same attack boost, just a couple of percentage shorter. He also has a little bit more self-sufficiency than Cell, and he gets an additional 7% attack. So I guess, in a sense, he could potentially start hitting really, really hard in relation to Cell. Unfortunately, what screws him is that he's not able to get those high stats, so he'll never really compete with Cell on that sort of level. But his passive is comparable to Cell's for sure, but just he'll never really compete offensively, I guess, now that I think about it, or defensively for that matter, because of the low stats. But really, really cool that we got a free-to-play unit that does the Extreme Z Awaken. So all in all, guys, again, if you did not understand earlier, Gohan is amazing. Please stop disrespecting the man. He's really, really good. And as you see, he's not like head and shoulders better than the Extreme Z Awakens that have come out previously that are Dokkan Festival exclusive. He's right where he needs to be in relation to those characters. So one of the things I did talk about in comparison in my previous video was the relation to STR Ultimate Gohan. Unfortunately, STR Gohan will still be more usable than this one, but this one is really, really good in relation, and they kind of do similar things, but also different things at the same time. This one is more individually focused. The STR Gohan is a really, really good defensive support. In fact, quietly one of the best defensive supports available in the game at 50% of all allies, if you do need things like that. And of course, you can use this Gohan on your team technically in Dokkan Battlefield because you can use 2 characters with the same name, just they can't be the exact same card. For example, you can't use 2 Int Ultimate Gohans, but you can use STR and Int, although they wouldn't link, but you could use them on the team together technically, right? So yeah, that's how it breaks down. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Subscribe if you were new for more content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Have an awesome day. I'll catch you in the next one.